Action.
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 Action in China. Action in China. Action in China.
Coming up, the White House plans to request about $45 billion in additional aid from Congress for disaster-hit areas. Official data show China's property market remained generally stable in October. Tesla has unveiled its first electric semi-tractor trailer, the Tesla Semi. Hello and welcome to this Edition Report. I'm Du Yang in Beijing. Now here's the latest of the U.S. stocks from correspondent Li Ming in New York.
Okay, let's take a look at U.S. stocks market. U.S. stocks traded lower on Friday as investors looked into the tax reform progress in the government. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said on Friday that he expects a Republican tax reform bill to be sent to U.S. President Donald Trump by Christmas this year, according to CNBC. Mnuchin made his comments a day after the House Republicans passed a monumental bill to cut taxes on businesses and individuals. The Senate now has to vote on their tax plan. We're very excited about the timeline, Mnuchin said. We're going to have the Senate as soon as they get back from Thanksgiving vote on the bill. Market expectations for the tax reform has sent U.S. stocks to record highs this year. However, the stocks declined recently amid investors' concerns that reform couldn't be achieved by the end of this year. In corporate news, shares of Tesla sold over 3% on Friday after the technology company unveiled two new vehicles, including semi-truck. This is Li Ming reporting from New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you. Next, turning to agriculture futures. Here's Jack Scoville in Chicago with the latest.
Hi, it's a higher day for the grain markets, and the markets seem to have started their annual rally that happens just before and just after the Thanksgiving holiday. Soybeans, corn getting supported also by forecasts for some dry weather down in South America. But we're also talking about demand. There's been a lot of talk that China is in buying not only soybeans, but also some corn, and that some of the corn announcements we've seen lately to unknown destinations are going to China, and also ethanol. So there's been a lot of support in ethanol and also in the ethanol market that has spilled over into the corn. So a bullish demand day and a bullish supply day seem to be the feature. Producers still not really interested in selling these markets. If they are selling, they're tending to replace those sales with purchases on the board. So the market here really not feeling a whole lot of farm selling. Overall, it should be a positive close. It is a positive close, I should say. And it should be a positive week as we go into next week. It's a holiday shortened week, but one that usually features higher prices, and the price action on Friday suggests that that's exactly what's going to be going on for much of the week. Thanks very much. This is Jack Scoville. I'm Vice President of Price Futures Group, here on the CME Group floor with some comments for the markets.
Appreciate it. And I'll keep you updated with the daily agriculture futures. Media reports said the White House plans to request about $45 billion in additional aid from Congress for disaster-hit areas. The amount would be significantly less than what some officials of the affected areas have suggested is needed. Congress approved last month a sum of $36.5 billion in emergency relief for Puerto Rico and other areas struck by natural disasters. It also said it would consider approving another round of funding after it reviewed requests from federal agencies and state and U.S. Commonwealth governments. The White House has been criticized for its response to the aftermath of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, as basic necessities, including food and water, were slow to reach those in need on the island. We're learning more about U.S. President Donald Trump's strategy going forward, now that House Republicans have passed the tax cut bill. This is an important step for the president, but there are hurdles ahead.
Bill is passed without objection. A motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Eager for a political win to show voters they can get things done in Washington, Republicans muscled their tax cut plan through the House.
Passing this bill is the single biggest thing we can do to grow the economy, to restore opportunity, and help these middle-income families who are struggling.
The stakes are high for the president, who stormed Capitol Hill to help push the bill over the finish line. The reason? Grumbling inside the GOP over the details. While the House plan slashes taxes for corporations and cuts the number of tax brackets for individuals, the bill also trims state and property tax deductions that are popular among Republicans in the Northeast.
Many people today who are voting may be voting yes in the hopes that something gets corrected.
Now comes the hard part, maneuvering the tax bill through the Senate, where some Republicans are already raising objections. The Senate version wades into the health care debate, repealing the individual mandate in Obamacare, and includes a controversial plan to allow individual tax cuts to expire while keeping corporate tax cuts permanent.
I am concerned. I believe that if we start getting into health care issues with the individual mandate, that we send a very mixed message.
Key Republicans are demanding changes.
I'm just looking for a fair shake for all businesses to maintain the competitive balance and position of all businesses. Let's not upset that apple cart and harm our economy.
Despite opposition from their own party, the president and his aides are blaming Democrats, with Mr. Trump tweeting, "Why are Democrats fighting massive tax cuts for the middle class and business, jobs? The reason? Obstruction and delay." Democrats sense an opening, insisting the GOP tax plan is a giveaway to the rich, pointing to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin's tone-deaf photo op at the Bureau of Engraving as a symbol of Republican greed run amok.
The disconnect is staggering. Who thinks you put on your long leather gloves and stand and hold a sheet of money?
Then there are the alarming reports up on Capitol Hill, new allegations of sexual misconduct pouring in. But the president still wasn't commenting on that.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. The tax is going really well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The question now for the GOP tax plan is what happens in the Senate, where Republicans hold a slim majority and a number of senators who don't get along with the president. The European Union leaders have warned Britain that it must do much more on divorce terms in order to unlock Brexit trade talks by the end of the year. British Prime Minister Theresa May met fellow leaders Friday on the sidelines of an EU summit in Sweden, trying to break the deadlock over the Brexit talks. May's government was urged to clarify how much Britain will pay to settle its financial accounts with the bloc, and to ensure that there is no hard border created between Ireland and Northern Ireland. British media reports have suggested May could be ready to double the UK's €20 billion offer on the exit bill, in a bid to clear what has been the most difficult hurdle in talks so far. The EU says the bill is around €60 billion. European Council President Donald Tusk said on Friday that Britain has until early December to make progress on Brexit divorce issues. Tusk and May are set to meet again next week to assess the situation. More economic news from Europe. At first, Italy's gross domestic product grew by 0.5% in the third quarter against the previous quarter. The quarterly growth was the synthesis of a decrease in the value added of agriculture and a rise in that of industry and services. In an annual perspective, the output in Q3 increased by 1.8% against the same period of 2016. Moreover, the growth registered on an annual basis was the highest since early 2011 for Italy's economy, which is the third largest in the Eurozone. In the second quarter, the national output has grown by 0.3% against the first one, and by 1.5% compared to the same period of last year. The European Central Bank President Mario Draghi on Friday said a growth outlook for the euro area was clearly improving, while the underlying inflation trend remained subdued, mainly due to weak wage growth. The bank decided to cut the level of bonds and the purchases every month from January 2018, while extending the duration of the purchase program to September of next year or beyond. Draghi said the recalibration of asset purchases aimed to signal our growing confidence in the euro area economy, With positive growth of 18 straight quarters, the euro area is seen in the midst of a solid economic expansion. According to the Office for National Statistics, August was the highest month ever for overseas visitor spending in Britain. It is said tourists from overseas spent $3.7 billion during the month, up 3% on the same month last year. It was also a record in August for inbound visitors, with 3.9 million visits, up 5% on the same month in 2016. The latest market-specific figures for the first 6 months of 2017 showed strong growth from China, the world's most valuable outbound market. Visit Britain forecasts that inbound visits will reach 39.7 million by the end of this year, with overseas visitors spending $34 billion. The record-breaking Dubai Air Show has closed with the order book of almost $113.8 billion. Airbus revealed its largest single announcement ever, a $49.5 billion deal with Indigo Partners to purchase 430 aircraft in its A320neo family. Boeing won large commitments across its twin and single-aisle commercial airplane families, debuting key capabilities including the CST-100 Starliner docking and KC-46 refueling simulators. Trade visitors to the event were up around 20% on the 2015 event, with some 79,000 visitors during its 5-day run. The company saw the air show as a great opportunity to introduce the latest unit and services to the Middle East region. The biannual air show invited Chinese Air Force August 1st demonstration team for the first time for the air display. Official data showed that China's property market remained generally stable in October, with home prices falling or posting slower growth in major cities amid tough control policies. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, on a yearly basis, new residential housing price saw slower growth in 13 of the 15 major cities. On a month-on-month basis, new residential housing prices fell in 9 of the 15 cities. China, ASEAN, and the UNDP have jointly launched a collaborative report on 2030 Sustainable Development Goals financing in ASEAN. The report outlined ways to finance projects to deliver the UN's SDGs program in the region. It focuses on streamlining development financing and strengthening domestic resource mobilization in ASEAN countries to finance national development. The report also highlights China's financing in ASEAN, which is expected to strengthen.
And that's why this, partnership is unique. That we're bringing the knowledge and the experience of different partners, right, to support ASEAN's development. ASEAN and China have agreement on increasing two-way investment to $150 billion, by 2020, right.
Chinese ambassador to ASEAN welcomed the report's recommendation to increase Chinese investment in SDGs projects in ASEAN.
China is ready to work even more closely with ASEAN countries to seek greater synergies between the Belt and Road Initiative and the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025, enhance infrastructure building and connectivity across the region, and promote trade, investment, and industrial upgrading.
Professional service firm EY plans to double its cybersecurity services headcount in China in 18 months to meet the needs of business in tackling cyber threats. The firm expects to have 300 cybersecurity specialists in China within 18 months, doubling the payroll now. Chinese companies paid more attention on cybersecurity issues as their operations become digitalized.
The hackers are not stealing the money anymore. They just block your system and they ask for you to send them the money. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that we also see that there is more technology in the business processes of organization. A lot of Internet of Things, a lot of operational technology, a lot of technology in cars, like connected cars, a lot of technology in smart cities. And because of that, the continuity of the business processes is now at risk as well. So in former days, it was only the confidentiality of data, but now it's also the continuity of the business processes.
Meanwhile, in the eyes of some investors, the surging demands of China's cybersecurity services also bring new opportunities. With the space expected to speed up in China, EY has ready extend its cybersecurity business from analytics and consulting to implementation and management.
I think there is a lot of engagement and a lot of interest in cybersecurity from the boards, but they also recognize that they need a lot of help. And they need help in two directions. One is internally, when you look at the Chinese market. There's a lot of organizations that are asking us, can you help us with creating a dashboard about our cybersecurity so that we know what is going on? Can you help us with advising us what we need to do when we experience a breach? So how do we know that we are ready for a breach? And then there are organizations that are asking our help when a Chinese company wants to expand their activities to other countries. So what is it that we need to do in other countries from a cybersecurity perspective? What are the rules and regulations there?
Worldwide spending on cybersecurity is predicted to top $1 trillion from 2017 to 2021. China's leading new energy car maker BYD has adjusted up its earnings estimate for the year, as it expected its domestic monorail transit system begins to bring in revenue. Econ Report talks to a sales manager of one of BYD's 4S stores. Let's take a listen. In the third quarter, BYD generated revenue of 28.9 billion yuan, or $4.35 billion, up 3.76% year-on-year. In the first 3 quarters, BYD reported revenue rise of 1.56%. A sales manager of BYD's 4S store in Beijing said the rise is partly due to the advanced concepts that BYD has. Despite a profit drop in Q3, the company revised up its earnings estimate for the whole year. The company expected rapid expansion in new energy car sales in the fourth quarter, and said growth momentum of other business lines, including the mobile components segment, would remain strong. It also said that as it completes the construction of monorail transit system, or Yungui, in many domestic cities, the segment would bring in considerable revenue and profit to the company in Q4. The manager said BYD has spent around 5 years to develop the system and has received orders from both domestic and overseas cities. Monorail trains can run at a maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Compared with the subway system, a monorail requires only 1/5 of the building cost and 1/3 of the construction time. Turning to some company news, the Tesla Semi, the company's first electric semi-tractor trailer, along with a new version of its first sports car, the Roadster, has been unveiled at the Tesla Design Center in California. CEO Elon Musk said the Semi is capable of traveling 500 miles on an electric charge and will cost less than a diesel Semi considering fuel savings, lower maintenance, and other factors. The Semi also equipped with high technology. The enhanced autopilot helps avoid collisions. The driver position is centered with maximum visibility and control. The low center of gravity offers rollover protection. Tesla's new Roadster will be the fastest mass production car ever made. With a 200 kilowatt-hour battery pack, the new Tesla Roadster will have a range of 620 miles on a single charge. The production of Tesla Semi expected to begin in 2019 and the new Tesla Roadster in 2020. Volkswagen has announced that it will invest more than 34 billion euros in electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and digitalization until 2022. The decision was made following the conclusion of consultations on the Wolfsburg-based firm's board over how to respond to the challenge of technological change in the automotive industry. Volkswagen Chief Executive Officer Matthias Müller subsequently expressed confidence that a massive investment program would enable his company to become the global #1 for electric mobility. Volkswagen has set itself a goal of unveiling more than 80 new electric vehicle models until 2022. The International Air Transport Association, or IATA, said auto passenger numbers are expected to slightly increase for African airlines in 2017. The carriers are likely to remain under pressure from a strong US dollar. According to IATA, the airlines are expected to make a combined loss of about $100 million in 2017, making Africa the only region that is currently not profitable for airlines. The Aviation Association pinned the loss on economic hardships the region has been facing for the last 2 years, partly due to the gain in strength of the dollar. The Indian government has stepped up its efforts to attract foreign investors, particularly in India's fast-growing food and agribusiness processing industry. CNC correspondent in New Delhi reports more on this from the recently concluded World Food India.
Aiming to transform the food economy, India has recently convened its first ever World Food India Expo in a grand fashion. The 3-day event was mainly aimed at providing investment opportunities in India's burgeoning food processing sector to investors worldwide. Being a partner country, Denmark has brought technologies to address India's logistic problems. Over a dozen of Danish companies have confirmed their investment uptake in the sector, which is marred by high transportation cost. The Indian government has vowed to lower the transportation cost in order to make Indian products more competitive in global markets. In addition, other sectors in food and agribusiness have garnered attention from Australia, Japan, and Europe, among others. World's biggest retailer Walmart has already been present in India with 21 cash-and-carry stores dealing with 1 million Indian customers. The giant retailer was also looking upbeat about the growing food consumption in India. Increasing urbanization, growing number of middle class, and rising disposable incomes are fueling the demand for wholesome and processed food in India. Food processing industry in the country has been growing in double digits in recent years, making the sector among high-profit yielding industries. Over the last 5 years, exports of processed food grew at an annual rate of over 11%. The $600 billion food retail sector in India is expected to triple by 2020. In order to tap this immense potential, the Indian government is setting up 42 mega food parks for processing industries across the country.
That's all for this Edition Con report. More news and highlights, please visit our website, yin.cncnews.cn. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第三，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。蓝天壮志情，云海普华章。
同心地产，芝加哥最大的华人中介团队，无论是家居或是商业地产，给你带来全方位的最佳服务。
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Little Chinese Channel, 小小中文 Lesson 18. In this lesson, we will be teaching you these 6 Chinese characters. From our last lesson, we learned the character 少. If we add up 2 sides of a triangle, this character is 钩. 钩 means hook. 钩号 Go hao means hook. These 2 characters contain go. If we remove these 2 strokes and put a dot in the upward stroke, this character is yun. Yun means even. Jun yun 均匀 means even or well distributed. Remove these two strokes and add 2 down strokes to the left. This makes 勿means do not. 勿吸烟 means no smoking. Next, we'll learn a new root character. What's this? 门 means door. 开门 means to open the door. What happens if we put a 口 in the middle of 门? 问 means to ask. 问路 means to ask for directions. Next, we'll learn a new root character. What's this? 万 means 10,000. 一万 means 10,000. Okay, it's time to write. When you're writing, remember to follow the stroke sequence. Go. 云 雾 门 望 万 Bye-bye, the lesson is done.